Strataponic is a series of allotments over many levels within an industrial high-rise. The allotment is a plot of land made available for individual gardening and the growing of plants. As a typology, it combines both gardens of production and of leisure. Allotments are all made up of the same fundamental elements, but are made particular by the alterations and desires of their individual users. In the UK, during 1887, the Allotments Act was introduced, which made it possible for local authorities to acquire land for allotments. It also made it compulsory for local authorities to provide allotments where there was demand for them. Whilst demand for allotments is increasing, provision is decreasing. In London, there are 30,000 people on waiting lists for allotments, and an average waiting time of 4 to 5 years. Allotments render large areas of land unprofitable and have therefore been developed as land within the city becomes more scarce. Strataponic is an opportunity for the allotment to stay within the city. The project is one component of a partly self-sufficient series of buildings which make up a campus. The campus was designed to resemble old quarters within cities. An irregular building was placed at the centre, and then others were placed around it in ways that seemed to fit. The strange leftover spaces between buildings become narrow streets or open courtyards. The buildings have been arranged densely, but through this density the buildings have some type of confrontation, which make them actually adapt and change as a result of being part of the campus. And because of the buildings' proximity to one another, from the exterior the campus appears as one building. There is a triangular courtyard which opens up from its narrowest point towards the north, an open space within the centre of the density. The far side of the courtyard is made up of 3 buildings of various heights, widths and appearance, but work together as a single elevation, facing the triangle. The windows and balconies flanking the courtyard channel the perspective towards the far side. Strataponic sits on this far side. The campus does not have a specific location, but takes its general context from London, such as its weather. Strataponic takes this rain and uses it to irrigate the allotments. The rain falls onto the windows. The windows rotate. The rainwater feeds the allotments. The allotments are each composed of a prefabricated stainless steel basin. These basins store the rainwater and house the plants. To ventilate the building, the windows are opened using a manual mechanical system. The lower half of the panel turns in to irrigate the plants. These panels work like a Japanese deer scarer. When the collected rainwater in the window reaches a certain mass, the windows tip in, depositing water into the basins. The building was initially designed to have no function. The function of the allotment has been inserted within it. It was originally influenced by projects in which the definition of the building envelope was ambiguous. The large rotating windows were a device to be able to completely close and open the same space. It was as the project became part of the campus and subject to its requirements that these windows and their many modes of operating allowed the building to become a multi-storey allotment. The windows enable a high degree of control of the interior climate, allow lots of sunlight into the building, and act as a system of irrigation. So you can see here how the initial sketches were characterised by searching for spaces which are permeable, that can be both open and enclosed, and how that has now transferred to the final ground floor plan. The ground floor of Strataponic is mainly open, encouraging interaction between it and the street. It consists of columns, sunken pools, and circulation and service towers at either end of the building. There is a small interior space, a glazed volume pushed back towards the northern elevation. This leaves a covered public area, under the southern side of the building, protected from the rain and the sun. This covered space also forms the route for vehicles to drive through to drop off or collect goods for the allotments above. There is a large platform lift in the centre of the building to carry people, animals, machinery and vegetation up into the building. These vehicles drive off under the nearby building, which also has a semi-open ground floor. They can use its fueling station on their way out of the campus. As the vehicles leave, they would drive past the cafe, which also sits under the adjacent building. This cafe looks out towards strata ponic, and its seating reaches the top step of a sunken area under the north of the building. In the centre of this space is a shallow pool, which collects any water falling down from the panels above. On the south side, the building is close to its neighbour, and the space between the two buildings is planted. This creates a shaded, calm space, which is often used in the summer. On the north, the public space is much more open, with a courtyard forming between strata ponic and its neighbour. These spaces on the ground floor can be used by all, but they are often a place where people meet to discuss their requirements for the conditions of the floor of their allotment. The building acts as a machine to cultivate these gardens, and therefore the interior climate of each floor can be controlled by its users. If people have similar interests, they may band together to create a particular climate on their floor, which is conducive to their desires. Any goods produced in the allotments can be sold here or exchanged for other produce. Residents of the campus may come by to check what fresh fruit and veg has been picked that day, or perhaps to buy a bouquet of flowers. The glazed volume on the ground floor may be used as a kind of shop towards this end. The resilience of the building lies in the possible reappropriation of these spaces due to changing demand from the campus. If the campus population required more food and the whole building was working at its maximum productive potential, almost as a farm, the ground floor space would act as a supermarket, for example. The first and second floors are affected by a lack of sunlight due to overshadowing from a nearby building. The users of these floors take advantage of this and in fact install even thicker, light-diffusing fabric to the windows, meaning to grow plants and use the allotment for things which require low amounts of light. On the first floor, families from different cultures require the same conditions to grow their vegetables. Chinese bean sprouts grow alongside Italian chicory. On the second floor, many people grow mushrooms. The windows are often closed as a very even temperature of around 16 degrees is perfect for mushrooms. Others use it as a space to cool down during a hot summer's day. On the third floor, many use the allotment to its maximum productive potential. There is 30 metres squared of each allotment on the southern side of each unit, which has been designed as an area for growing plants through a hydroponic system, as it benefits from direct sunlight. The depth of the section and the height of each floor is related to the type of sunlight the building wants to allow into it. It prevents any sunlight from entering the building at an angle high enough that it may damage the plants. The building also steps down towards the north to encourage sun at lower angles to penetrate as deeply into the building as possible. There are 5 units per floor over 9 stories, so strataponic has the potential to grow enough fruit and vegetables for 135 individuals or 45 families. Its prefabricated, modular design means floors can be added or reduced, or the whole building replicated, depending on the requirements of the campus and its population. The deeper half of the unit is used to store water, which can then be used to further irrigate plants on the floors below. There is a system of sprinklers attached to the underside of these basins. If there is too much water in the basins, it can be released through a gutter on the facade, where the water would then cascade down the panels until reaching the pools on the ground floor. Earth and planting in these pools are used to make the water clean enough to swim in, between caring for the crops. On the 4th floor, most of the allotments are used as social spaces. Some have set up a table and chairs by the window to eat dinner whilst looking out over the campus. On the 5th floor, the windows are often left open and a breeze runs through the building. Plants which enjoy being exposed to the wind are found here, and the floor takes on the appearance of a meadow, with grass and wildflowers being grown. The 6th floor is also quite productive. The crops are raised slightly off of the prefabricated stainless steel unit which makes up the allotment, allowing water to feed the roots. This style of farming is perfect for crops such as tomatoes, red peppers, strawberries and spinach, all of which like direct sunlight and lots of water. The windows are never opened on the 7th floor and the climate is dry and hot. A man grows a saguaro cactus, which he is particularly anxious about, as they can take 75 to 100 years to grow their first arm. He has provided an extra layer of protection for the cactus by putting up a layer of fabric around it. This should stop any pests getting to them and helps to retain a constant temperature. Each story is 6 meters tall, so by now the view of the sun setting over the campus is unbelievable. On the 8th floor, someone is balancing a stepladder on the walkway so that they can water the top of their tree and give the branches a trim. The walkway spans between the 2 circulation towers and crosses over all of the allotments. This particular unit has been filled as deeply as possible with earth, so the tree is able to grow roots. The top floor is open to the elements. It has been turned entirely into water storage as a plant life support system in the case of drought, and the floors below cannot be irrigated through regular means. The roof catches most of the water here. Alternatively, this floor can be used for dancing in the rain, or a rooftop swimming pool.